Sponsored by Squarespace. Welcome back. In part 1, we covered the history of the classic era, in which adaptations generally stay true to the source. However, as filmgoers grew more sophisticated, the same old story wasn't enough anymore. So, storytellers began to seek new ways to spice up their adaptations. Thus, adaptations of Journey to the West diversified into 3 categories. And today, we'll examine the sometimes frustrating and sometimes surprising results. Without further ado, this is the history of Journey to the West adaptations, Part 2. Let's begin with the last batch of faithful adaptations. Following the 2010 release of Three Kingdoms, a spiritual remake of the 1994 classic, multiple TV stations and studios attempted to do the same with Journey to the West. There is the Zhejiang TV version, a loose retelling with some pretty dated VFX. There's the 3D version, a dramatization of the author's life, its success. And then there's the big budget version, dubbed The New Journey. The 2011 Journey to the West was seen as a remake of the 86 show. Expectations were high. With a larger budget and modern technology, fans hoped for a definitive adaptation with better VFX and better makeups, 2 of the only flaws of the old series. And then, New Journey f***s up both things. Yeah, in hindsight, the world was way too optimistic about computer effects. Production at this scale can be a tall order even today. Back in 2011, it was nothing but disappointment. Yet, even putting aside the technical limitations, the effects just aren't aesthetically pleasing. Look, not only is he wearing all gold, sitting on a golden flaming throne, but he f***ing sparkles. You think that's enough? But the bigger issue, and the one that's still controversial today, is the character design. This is Pixie. Until it gets domesticated by Tripitaka, I guess. The intent was to have more book-accurate designs, and indeed, Book Pixie is an ugly-ass boar. Following the text, however, means betraying several centuries worth of established culture, and so a major backlash followed. I mean, yeah. This is our first lesson of the day. Books stay the same, but stories change. You see, after A Chinese Odyssey gave the Bone Spirit a tragic story, many adaptations follow suit. In Quest for the Sutra, she's a love interest. In the Zhejiang version, she's an allied turned enemy. And in New Journey, she's made a victim of banditry. None of these are in the book, yet sympathy for the Bone Spirit has become a widely adopted trope. It's the Medusa transformation. Stories change with time. We'll come back to this villain in just a bit. Unfortunately, the 2011 version was, so far, the last attempt at a big-budget faithful adaptation. With its failure, the trend died. Today, we finally have the technology to make a definitive version, but as far as I can tell, no one seems to want it. Decades of constant adaptations have burned people out. To recapture people's interest, filmmakers will need something different. So for our sponsorship segment, I was going to roast the TV show's website, but honestly, it's pretty good, especially for 2011. You can still do better though, thanks to Squarespace. With Squarespace, creating a website is as simple as picking a pre-made template and edit to your liking. Make a big impression with a splash page, and stylize every aspect down to the font choices. You can upload photos and videos, or start a web store. A website can be tailored to your needs. The flexibility, the convenience, and the ease of access make websites the best way to publicize your work and advertise your business. Start a free trial at squarespace.com/actonacinema. Use the code actonacinema and you can get 10% off your first purchase. Everyone should have a website. Monkey needs a website. Tripitaka needs a website. The Bone Spirit needs a website. If you have a thing to show it with Squarespace. Visit squarespace.com/actonacinema and start today. On the other end of the extreme, we have the reinventions. Stories that ignore the existing canon and just do whatever the they want. For example, the first saga of Dragon Ball borrows some iconography and story beats, but is largely an original creation. Sayuki, Into the Badlands, and Buddy in India take the journey aspect but reinvent the setting. Hero is Back takes Monkey's origin story and creates a what-if scenario. A Korean Odyssey takes the character dynamics and pretty much nothing else. And The New Legends of Monkey takes my soul and sends it straight to hell. Look, if you expect me to watch this, then you are out of your goddamn mind. These adaptations treat Journey to the West as a mere jumping off point. That may be why, in this category, the less a work resembles Journey to the West, the better it usually comes out. That's deeply unfortunate, because two of the recent Chinese adaptations didn't jump nearly far enough. Look, you saw the video thumbnail, you know I don't like these movies. Let's begin with the Stephen Chow duology. 2013 saw the release of Journey to the West Conquering the Demons, in which Tripitaka is a demon hunter. Man, I'm one sentence in and I'm already lost. In the film, Tripitaka combats demons with compassion, but without much success. Sandy, Pixie, and Monkey are all antagonists. That's why Monkey looks like the STD picture you saw in high school sex ed. Meanwhile, a fellow hunter falls in love with Tripitaka. Being a monk with a higher aspiration, he denies her advances. It isn't until she dies trying to protect him when Tripitaka realizes why he always fails.
男女之爱也包含在所谓的大爱之内。众生之爱皆是爱，没有大小之分。
At this realization, Tripitaka gains the power of Buddha and plagiarizes Ashura's wrath. Doesn't sound like Journey to the West, right? Much like a Chinese Odyssey, the film is allegorical to Chow's romantic past. But in an attempt to fit his life into Journey to the West, he ends up breaking the entire thing. The result is a film that's neither an original work nor an adaptation of the novel. It pleases no one. The film receives one sequel, its success, let's move on. 2014 saw the release of The Monkey King, which is followed by two sequels. This trilogy reimagines popular chapters from the book, with no real continuity in between films. I want to focus on the second film, partly because it's the best one, that is to say, it's the that stinks the least. Based on the Bone Spirit arc, this film once again gives this popular demon a tragic backstory. Here, she was once a child forced into marriage and was sacrificed when the village was marred by famine. In the end, Tripitaka decides to sacrifice his own life so his soul can lead the demon through reincarnation. Oh yes, Tripitaka f***ing dies at the end. As previously mentioned, these days people always imagine the Bone Spirit as a sympathetic figure. Why? I suppose in between a faithful story and a better story, people would rather have the latter. After all, this tragic femme fatale setting offers a lot more narrative potential. So, the Bone Spirit was reinvented for a better story. That's the purpose of reinvention, to make things even better. But these two films reinvented the classic only to offer a lesson as rudimentary as romantic love is also love. They didn't jump off from Journey to the West, they just tripped and face-planted. Let's wrap up with the last category, prequels, sequels, and side stories. Basically, fan fiction. The best part of Journey to the West is the characters and their dynamic. Monkey is more powerful, but Tripitaka is the master. That makes an interesting relationship. That's why even back when the novel was new, fan fiction was already commonplace. Books like Journey to the South and a supplement to the Journey to the West both borrow characters from the original book. The practice continued into cinema as well. Pixie Eats Watermelon is a 1958 paper animation based on a popular children's book. It's a side story that borrows the characters but is not part of the original novel. A Chinese Toy Story is a fan chapter in which Tripitaka falls in love. Nerja Reborn imagines a futuristic world long after Monkey's ascension. The Lost Empire, The Forbidden Kingdom, and Lego Monkey Kid are all examples of fan sequels as well. The series I want to cover though is one you probably never heard of unless you're Chinese. Sunny Piggy is a 2000 TV rom-com about the life of Pixie before Journey to the West. In its 38 episodes following 4 story arcs, Pixie engages in various slapstick battles with demons, meeting gods of all sorts, and even help Monkey in his rampage. It is a delightful comedy that's a little dumb, a little cheesy, a little dated, but earnest and charming.
我是神人眼神不能任何人说，包括你自己。好，我一定不对我自己说。
With its nonsense humor, one can see the influence of Stephen Chow.
同样的衣服穿在我主人身上是像奔丧的，穿在我身上又去奔丧啦。
Even the timing is identical. There's also this joke about someone baking cakes with bath water used by a goddess. The cakes are then sold out in an instant. Just to make this funnier, the goddess is a horny thought too. I know I don't have a lot of deep commentaries to offer, but that's because of all the adaptations we saw today, Sunny Piggy takes itself the least seriously. Yet despite that, it feels the most faithful. Expand this thought and we can see a pattern. Notice that the more an adaptation tries to be epic, the less it feels like Journey to the West. The more it tries to be fun, the more it captures our imagination. That is my final answer as to what it means for an adaptation to be faithful. When we think of Journey to the West, the thing that comes to mind isn't an epic journey. We think of the fun we had as a child. Be it Sunny Piggy, the TVB adaptation, the 86 TV show, or even Monkey Magic. These shows are beloved because they are fun. We want to re-experience Journey to the West for the first time again. Whichever adaptation can bring us back to that moment, I think, is the one most faithful to our hearts. I want to end our journey with a fun fact. Marriage in the entertainment industry rarely lasts, and neither did these two, who fell in love when filming The Monkey King 3, but announced the divorce a few years later. Pixie from Sunny Piggy, however, is still married to his dragon princess over 20 years later. In fact, actress Tao Hong would often cameo in actor Xu Zheng's movie, sometimes playing as his wife. It's wonderful, right? I know that has nothing to do with Journey to the West, but that warm and fuzzy feeling is just the right kind of joy I want from any Journey to the West production. I don't want a dark and edgy rendition, I want to smile and feel wonderful. Maybe it's nostalgia or maybe it's lost innocence, but all I want from Journey to the West is that sense of wonder.